Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. We're GabNet, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
We could talk about the saddest news that I've had in a long time. The Expanse has not been renewed for season 4 on the Sci-Fi, on the Sci-Fi channel. Yeah, to me, this is why Sci-Fi changed their name to Sci-Fi, because they don't want people to mistakenly think that they're into sci-fi or something like that.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
What is the rate at which Americans are killing Americans or just other people versus these criminals coming into the country from Mexico that, for instance, Trump talked about in his State of the Union address, the gangster invasion? I mean, do you
I will agree with you, but do we want more crime? Do we want more crime? We don't want more crime.
So, but you want them to be able to come in legally, so that if they came in legally, you believe they wouldn't commit crimes.
Not to the level that the gangs and drug dealers.
Wait a minute. Why couldn't the drug people and the gangs apply here?
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
There's a wonderful line in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the evil French archaeologist says you take this cheap watch and you bury it for 1,000 years and dig it up, and it's an artifact.
Yeah.
You know, I got a couple of old girlfriends. If you buried them for 5 years, they'd be artifacts too, you know.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight. If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
I'm not trying to bash the East Coast or anything like that. They just play a different style of basketball.
Well, yeah, and statistically, they have been the weaker franchise of the two.
Finally, you can get hot and bothered on Connections at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday, and by delay Tuesday through Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern.
One of the first video games I ever saw was a game that Points Pete used to play. It was like stick figures, pimps and hoes, man.
Oh, yeah. Pimp Wars.
Pimp Wars. It was awesome. I was like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm beating hoe and getting my money. What do you do? What? No, I'm beating a hoe and getting money. I'm like, no, that can't be right.
You buy AK-47s. And then a little voice comes on with Samuel L. Jackson that says, AK-47.
AK-47.
Very best area.
Catch up on all the shows with our Weekend Flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GabNet. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before. Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Here's reason number 9, great celebrity guests.
So how many years is this now with Teller?
43, and that's 43 continuous. You can try to say Keith Richards and Mick Jagger go longer, but they take 3, 4, 5 years off. You know, even when they're together, they take the time off. Continuous, you know, no more than 2 weeks working apart, I think.
Wow.
Like being waterboarded for 43 years.
GabNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GabNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hello, everybody. This is Alex Bennett, and this, of course, is the Ramble, starting off another week. It is Tuesday night, and we'll have our Citizens Panel a little bit later, but let me just do a quick change of clothing, and let's talk to my ex-wife, okay? All right, wait a minute, hold on a second, I gotta get it ready. My ex-wife. Take it, ex-wife. we go out to Oregon, near Portland, Lake Oswego. Do you go swimming in Lake Oswego at all?
No, I don't. It's only for people who have homes on the lake. The rest of us aren't allowed.
This is, of course, ex-wife and the proprietor of TimeGoesBy.net. Her name is Ronnie Bennett. Yeah. Hi there, dear. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Well, at least I'm not an immigrant child stuck in a detention center.
Oh, don't get me started. Oh, my God. Oh.
Yeah.
It's just... And I just watched the president. This is Monday we're recording this. I just watched the president tell us that it's all Obama's fault again.
Yeah. We can't figure out exactly how. Every news person.
I'm laughing, but it's just awful.
Every news person in America, and I think this even includes Fox, is trying to see the logic in that. You know, these were laws that were set years ago, and they didn't. It wasn't about incarcerating kids. Okay, it was about protecting kids.
There's that one photograph that you only see the little girl in profile, you know, and you don't even see who she's standing next to, but you can tell that she's crying and she's terrified. And when I look at her, I can almost really, really remember what it was like to be that size and be scared of something.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I've never been in the kind of position these kids are, but certainly there were plenty of things to be scared of when I was little. And I remember that scariness. And now imagine you don't speak the language where you are. You've been walking with your mom and dad for days and days and days, and it's hot, and you can't cool, and now you're in a cage, and they took your mom and dad away? What are we doing?
We're terrible. This is not the America I signed up for, you know? No. I mean, we're not America anymore. We're not this. We have nothing to be proud of. Okay.
No, not much.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty terrible.
Yep.
At least some people are responding. You know, who knows what'll happen with this president, but at least people are responding. So much that goes on that is so awful just goes by us. Nobody pays any attention, and we're on to the next.
Yep. So anyway, how's... Oh, I have a slight slap back here. Let me get rid of that. Okay. So how is everything out there with your life? It's going good?
Well, it's an interesting week.
Yeah?
As I said, we're recording this on Monday. Wednesday will be the 1-year anniversary of my surgery.
That was for pancreatic cancer. It was called the Whipple procedure.
It's a very big deal to get this far.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly anybody does, and it's a really important to me. You know,
it's important to me. It's important. It's important to me. It's important to me too. I mean, I want to see you live a while.
And what they did, you know, was cut me open from here to here, my whole front, and take out a bunch of pieces and whole organs and a few parts of others, and then rearrange everything. And it's the worst thing that ever happened to me, ever.
It's a real life game of operation. Remove the kidney, remove the... Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. I
don't remember the operation game? Oh.
And, you know, the doctor had been, or the surgeon had been absolutely honest with me up front about how awful the recovery would be. But he didn't begin to make a dent in or I didn't really get it, I guess. It was the worst 2 months afterwards of my life.
Yeah.
Nothing comes close. And there were many, many times I woke up in the morning and thought, why did I do this? I should have just died. And then it got better and better and better. Tiny little increments at a time. But then 5 months ago, after some tests, the surgeon said that there was no cancer showing in the test. And so each of the tests have shown since then. So I'm one of the lucky ones. You know, I made it this far.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm incredibly aware that it often comes back, not always in the same place. And and that changes. I'm different. I'm not real sure how I'm different, but I'm different in that is part of my life now. And for, I've been so lucky. For 75 years, the worst that ever happened to my health was a bad flu. The worst.
Yeah.
And this was such a shock that.
Well, you were,
and now I live with it, and I don't know what. I'm different, but I'm not real clear about how yet.
Well, you were dealt a death blow, actually. I mean, pancreatic cancer, whenever that's the analysis, is usually they tell you to go home and just, sort things out. There's no way to cure it, right? And yet there was a cure for yours, and
it's not. We're not calling it a cure.
Okay, there was an operation for yours.
Nobody calls it a cure for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just there's no evidence of cancer right now.
Yeah.
And I went through all this other stuff of an internal bleed and then a clot, and they had to put stents in. I had no idea stents were for anything but hearts, but they are for other things too.
Oh yeah.
And that's worked out really well. The solution the doctors found seems to be working very well. So that's good.
Now you were a smoker at one time, and
for a long time.
I'll explain why in a second. But you quit, right? So that.
Oh yeah, that was the second worst thing I ever went through, quitting.
Yeah, well, thank you so very much, because guess who started me smoking?
I didn't light the cigarette.
I was trying to impress you, and I think I even smoked what you were smoking, which was Newports.
Oh God, when was that? 100 years ago, right?
I started on but you're the person. If anybody says to me, "Who started you smoking?" I have to say it was Ronnie.
A question like that.
Well, I mean, when I was a smoker, somebody asked me that. They haven't asked me in the last 25, 26, 27 years. I don't know how many years it is now that I haven't smoked. But that was the best decision I ever made, was to quit.
It was awful for me.
Yeah,
I went to bed for 5 days. I couldn't get out of bed and cried a lot.
Yeah. Really.
And it's years and years, and I still miss smoking. There are times, particularly, I'm sitting here at the computer and I'm trying to write something for the blog, and I don't know where to go from here. And I think, oh, I would love a cigarette. Jeez,
Yeah, I never get that feeling. Never get that feeling. Once I quit. Well, my way of quitting was I didn't say I'm quitting, because that's sure failure. I said I'm going to see how long I can go without smoking.
Oh, before I finally did, I tried everything out there. I did hypnosis. I did patches. I did those little pills you can buy.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what all.
Well, I did the little pills. I did the little pills, Vantrons. That helped.
I don't remember what they were called, but I know that it was like an overdose of nicotine. They made me feel awful.
Yeah.
And I actually quit now and again for for a year or two, and then so that's why I don't dare go near since the final quitting. I don't dare go near a cigarette, because in the past, after I'd quit for a year or two, get near one, I'd have a cigarette, and that would be it. I'd go buy a pack. So I just have to keep my distance.
You don't want to do it today, because a pack costs so much goddamn money, you'd be broke.
Oh, what does it cost these days?
Here in New York, a pack of cigarettes, ready for this, hold on to your whatever you're holding on to, $11.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I guess that'll stop you, won't it?
Yeah. So if you have a 2-pack a day habit, you're spending $22.
But why would the government or whoever sets those things, why would they do that? If you're going to charge that much, just outlaw cigarettes.
Well, you're getting pretty close to the point where you're going to get like black market cigarettes. It's going to be like prohibition, But in fact, there was a guy here who was selling illegal cigarettes, and he got shot to death by the police department here. Or they choked him. That was the guy they choked.
What?
Yeah, they grabbed him.
I hope that the cops were arrested and prosecuted.
I can't remember what happened exactly, but they
I don't think selling cigarettes is an executable offense.
That's right, but they grabbed him or something, and they took him down to the ground and were choking him by the neck, and he said, I'm choking. He passed out and he died.
Oh, that was was the guy in Queens.
Yes, he was selling cigarettes. That's what was his.
I remember that. I remember that. A terrible, terrible thing. He was selling, what do they call them? Singles.
Yeah, he would sell a single cigarette. Yeah.
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 I remember that. That was an awful, awful thing.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of awful things going on lately. So, But you started me smoking, but I quit. So, but I was very, very good at quitting stuff. Do you remember we quit once in Chicago? And
I don't remember.
I remember I quit for about 6 weeks. And then I went, I got it made. I can have a cigarette now. And then it was another.
Now, I know. I certainly learned that about me. I cannot even have one.
Yeah.
Not one.
Well, it was like another 15 years of smoking again. So I quit once, and then I went back, and then I quit again in San Francisco. I'm thinking it's like 1982 maybe that I quit, and I've quit. Never smoked since. So.
When we were growing up, and especially hitting teenage years and going to movies, the movie stars of the day and the movies that were made of that in that era made smoking cigarettes so glamorous.
Yeah.
That if you were going to, I don't think the phrase was around then, but if you were going to be one of the cool kids, you were going to smoke cigarettes. That's what you did. You smoked cigarettes and drank martini.
Well,
the wonderful scene, I think the movie's Dark Victory with Bette Davis when I've forgotten the male actor, but he lights 2 cigarettes and then hands one to her.
Yeah.
And just, that just made, the movies made smoking so sexy.
Oh, well, you want to talk about something else. How the times when you went to your doctor's. And
I used to sit after he'd examined me. Yeah. We'd go in his office after I got dressed again, and then he would offer me a cigarette, and we'd sit there smoking and talk about my health.
Exactly. That was great. That was doctors smoking. That was one of the great things of all time. And it's just that cigarettes were such a part of our lives. Here's what happened. Cigarettes, I don't think the tobacco companies knew cigarettes were dangerous. I mean,
you don't think what? Say that again?
The tobacco companies thought that cigarettes were dangerous. I think in the beginning, they had this misguided idea that it was okay, and it was their business. It was when suddenly, after many, many years of people smoking a lot of these pre-made cigarettes.
The Surgeon General's report in 1958.
Yeah.
That started to change.
But it wasn't until then that we started to see the cancers show up as a result of smoking, because the kind of smoking we were doing had increased because of the what can we call the manufacture of the cigarettes. Right? You get them pre-made. You don't have to roll them anymore or anything like that. So we just smoke more.
Unless you were smoking weed.
And it wasn't until 58 that we started to see the consequences. And then, of course, the tobacco companies went into a state of denial.
Which they still are.
Which they still are. They still do very well over in Europe and places like that, But we pretty well knocked out smoking in this country. I think it's not considered socially acceptable to smoke any longer, and I think that's.
And there's hardly anywhere in public that you can smoke anymore.
Well, they did that too. I mean, it started. One of the reasons I quit in 1982 is when they started saying you can't smoke in movie theaters anymore, and I got tired of missing 2/3 of the movie because I was out having a cigarette. So I said I quit out of self-defense, but they did make it difficult for you. They did not make it easy for you to smoke any longer.
And that's still so.
Yeah, and of course now, as I say, the price at $11 a pack. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be smoking.
I wonder if it's the same in all states. I don't know.
I think if you were to check, you see, you don't know what the cost of cigarettes is because you don't buy them anymore.
Right.
Like I don't know the cost of gasoline because I don't have a car. But
it's gone up this summer.
But I can ask you how much gas costs, and you can tell me without hesitation.
Except I want to tell you about being an old lady and driving.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when I was a kid, there used to be a joke about about used cars dealers, that they would try to sell somebody a used car by saying it was owned by a little old lady who only drove it to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
In my case, I don't spend too much for gasoline, whatever the price, because it's driven by me, a little old lady who only goes to the supermarket.
Well, I have my friend Shecky, who has a car that's 22 years old and has 50,000 miles on it.
That's like my car. Mine is 12 years old, and it has 41,000 miles.
Really?
On it. And it had 11,000 when I bought it, when it was 2 years old.
And you drove it across the country once.
No, I had it shipped. I didn't drive it across the country.
You had it shipped? Why didn't you drive it?
Well, because, there was the cat, and, it was going to be difficult. And so it was easier to have it shipped.
The cat didn't like cars?
Pardon me?
The cat didn't like cars?
Well, because he wasn't used to it. The two cats we had, we trained them to be okay in the car. But Ollie was a New York City cat. What did he know about cars?
Yeah.
So he would have had to be in a container all day long on the road. I didn't think that was fair. And then you have to stop and get out the litter box and the food and the water. I didn't want to do that for 3,000 miles.
But you put him in the bottom of a plane.
Well, but it's much faster.
I guess.
It's not days and days and days.
Did he ever forgive you for that trip? I mean,
I don't know. You know that he's no longer with us.
Yes,
Did
right,
I tell you
right,
that?
right,
Okay.
yeah.
I miss him. I still think I hear him half the time. I think I see him out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've had that happen with cats I've loved.
Also with people. I was once, a friend had died, and a few days later, I was walking across Father Demos Square near 6th Avenue in New York, and I looked across the street. I was going to cross, and I thought I saw Peter, and I knew he had died the week before. And I thought I saw Peter there. It was the oddest thing.
Well, I mean, I know that feeling of feeling that, you've had a cat around the house constantly, and all of a sudden he's not there, and somehow you still feel his presence.
You do. And then, of course, you keep finding toys he left somewhere in a corner, things like that. Yeah.
Well, he was.
I missed him. Some people said I should go out and get another kitty right away. And I tell them, well, if I had a husband and he died, I wouldn't go out and get a new one right away, and I want some time.
Well, my question to you is, I mean, how old was Ollie when he went?
14, almost 14.
So 14, 15, pretty good for a cat.
But my other cat, Bo Bennett, lived to be almost 20. So I didn't expect this. I was expecting Ollie to live as long as Bo Bennett.
Well, Shabbos, who was our cat, lived to be 18.
Yeah. Cats live a lot longer than most dogs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially house cats.
But if I am going to have another cat one day, and I'll know when the time comes, I'm going to look into adopting an old cat.
You were saying that. You were saying that a while back. And part of the reason is of course, you have a certain... you don't know what your sell-by date is. And...
I'm assuming it's shorter in my case than it used to be.
But you don't know what your sell-by date is, and so if you get a kitten, you're probably never going to be around for its full life, even if you live to be 90 or whatever,
Yeah. Hey, listen, 90 is only 13 years away from me.
Yeah. Well, 19 is only 11 years away from me.
So. But if I got an old cat, maybe we would die about the age. Ollie was hard to get along with. He wasn't a lap cat. He didn't like to be pet. If I pet him too much, he'd bite my hand. And so I used to worry that if I died from, especially after they told me I had pancreatic cancer, I used to worry that if I die, will anybody else take him? Because he's hard to get along with. And the only good thing about it, a little tiny good thing, is I don't have to worry about that now.
Yeah.
But I still miss him.
Of course,
every moment of the
well,
day.
he was very much a part of your life. I remember when you got him.
He came from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he used to stay with you.
Yes.
Remember that time you took? I can't find it, but you sent me a photo of him sitting all sprawled on the sofa with a can of beer or soda or something.
I still have some pictures of that. I still have those pictures. Yeah, he was but he was always very standoffish until I started working at the computer, and then he would start biting my legs. You know, and
he
just
used to bite my ankles if I didn't feed him fast enough.
Just about the time you were about to pick him up, you were coming back from wherever you were, he would be very warm and nice to me, and then you show up. Okay, but
I didn't stay away long enough. Okay.
No, I think he knew.
Tell me that I might have stayed longer.
I think he knew you were coming back, but he was a difficult. I'm good at getting cats to like me, and he was a difficult cat to get to like you. He
was 1/6 wild serval, and I always wondered if that had anything
that has
to do
a lot to do
his
with
standoffishness.
Probably
it's only 15%. But still, it's more than not.
Probably had a lot to do with his death at 14, too. Is the fact that he was a very inbred breed or whatever that is, let's explain. This was a what do you call it? A Savannah. They call the cat.
Savannah cat.
Yeah, Savannah cat, and they're half serval or part serval and part house cat. And I can't remember what breed of house.
Not house cat. They're a breed of I can't remember the breed. Won't come to my blame old age right now.
Yeah.
And some there was a pair of cats, brothers and sisters, who lived near me in New York, who were 50% serval, and wow, they were beautiful, but it's scary in the way that you don't want to be up close.
People used to walk them people used to walk them in the neighborhood with a leash.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah, they were huge.
That's how I knew them.
They were another one of my ex-girlfriends, who I went to see in Cleveland, had gotten a serval. She was
not a serval.
Well, I mean a Savannah.
You mean a Savannah? Yeah.
A Savannah, and this cat was huge. Just huge.
Yeah,
and I would wake up in the morning, the cat would be standing on my chest, I could barely breathe, staring at me, and it was like I was in the jungle and some jungle cat was about ready to devour me.
Yeah, I've come to not believe in hybrids. I think we should leave wild and domestic.
By the way, I had
that kind of cat again.
I had our ex-cleaning woman also had a Savannah.
Oh, they are beautiful. They're
hard to resist. Cats. They're beautiful cats.
Gorgeous.
They're beautiful cats, but they are they're a bit of a they're difficult.
Are they all, or is it just mine? I don't know.
I think they all are kind of difficult, Although I don't know, the one my ex-girlfriend had, was he difficult? I don't think so particularly. It seemed like
and we came to understand each other, Ollie and me, but to a degree. Every once in a while we'd have an argument over the way we wanted things done, but as long as I didn't pet him too long, he wouldn't bite me.
Well, it was kind of like one of those been there, done that when she showed me, I've got this unusual cat. And I went, nah, I've seen those before. My ex-wife has one, and
So, it's a little lonely around here without him.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never gotten a cat in the last many years because of on the 8th floor of a building, and my wife loves to leave the windows open.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
when we were
talking. And we have a cat. We cat sit, and then I put screens in all the windows because I have this terrible fear of the cat committing suicide. I know he probably won't, but
can you call it suicide if it's not intentional?
I don't want when the owners come back, I don't want to have to say, "Did you notice your cat was seriously depressed?" Which is the old Truman Capote line.
Right, let me tell you something. We're done with cats for the next of these coming up. Okay.
Yeah. But I would love to have a cat, and she would love to have a dog. And I said, "Okay, you can have a dog, but you walk the fucking dog."
Exactly. That's why, I don't have anything against dogs. I think they're pretty wonderful. But you have to walk them at least twice a day, and more is better.
Yeah.
And what if it's pouring down rain and it's freezing cold, or you've got the flu? You still have to walk the dog. Not me.
Yeah, and then they poop too, and then you got to pick up the poop. And I'm sorry.
Well, you do that with cats too, so not.
I don't want that. I don't want to clean up the poop.
Okay, that's it.
That doesn't bother me, but the having to, I'm in the middle of something else and the dog wants to go out. And, or as I said, pouring down rain or all that other stuff.
Hey, we've run out of time.
We have.
Another 25 minutes of our life.
I'm not so sure this is wildly interesting.
Oh, I think it's terrific. I think it's terrific. Take it from me. I think it's terrific. And people enjoy you, and they certainly, when you put it up on your site, they gobble it up. So,
Well, this one I will post on the anniversary day on Wednesday.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the former wife of a radio announcer, Ronnie Bennett. Thanks, Ronnie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And that was my ex-wife. We like talking every now and then. It's nice when you can talk with an ex-wife. Okay? Let that be a lesson to all my other ex-wives. I still talk. Let's say I talk to you. I talk to Susan, and I talk to Ronnie, and the only one I don't talk to is girlfriend. It's a very silent relation. No, I'm only kidding. Let's see here. Was I married to anybody else? Linda was my first wife, and I don't know what the fuck ever happened to her. And quite frankly, I don't care. She's probably dead by now. Let me see here. Also, let's see. There was Linda. There was Ronnie. There was Susan. And now, of course, there's girlfriend. So 4 times I've been married. That's not bad over 78 years, is it? Well, it's not exactly laudatory either. Let me get rid of my music playing stuff, and let me get up my Skype stuff so that I can open up the lines so people can call me. If they really even give a shit about calling me. We'll see, okay? If you don't know how to get a hold of us, it's a very simple process, to be very honest with you. You go over to gabnet.net, and over on the right-hand side of the page is a complete tutorial on how to be a member of the Citizen Panel. And it's very easy, and I think if you ever did it, you would find it enjoyable. A lot of people are sometimes hesitant. Hey, look who's here! First up tonight, boy. He must be. Wait a minute. I'm seeing. I don't see much of you because you're kind of dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
I got to turn this off though because I'm driving, and I'm going to be turning the screen off. So let me know if you can still see me.
Okay.
Can you still see me?
Not really. No.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
Let me turn. Can you still see me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I can't see you though. That's only because if an officer pig fucker decides to look into my window and see that there's streaming video, because I told you about this before, Alex.
Yeah.
Then this won't pull over. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't want you to get pulled over, so just well, we can see the lights are hitting your face every now and then, and
And I have to turn the lights off too, of course. Because
yeah. But we can see all the lights in back of you, so we feel like we're traveling in the car with Brian. Hello, Phil. How are you?
All right. How was your medical foray today?
We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Brian is... Oh, there we lost him now. See? Yeah, lost the picture. There he is again. Okay. What's new, Brian? Anything new? You got a new job, all right?
This is true.
Yeah.
Actually, a new job.
A new job?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of what I did before when I first started calling into this program, only for a different company.
Which was hauling body parts.
Well, meds and other shit to the airport and to various places. Only this time I'm an independent contractor operating in my own vehicle, and I'm coming back from Scranton, Pennsylvania, going back to Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Well, join in whenever you need to. It's kind of a partially black screen, but we can see that there's some action in there. And occasionally when you hit a lamppost, we get lights. Oh, there we see stuff streaming by you. How are you, Scott Boddicker? Good to see you, pal.
I'm good. I'm good, Alex.
What's happening on your end of the world?
Not anything. Just life goes on.
Boy,
no wives to talk to, though. That's good.
Every time I see you these days, I want to have a Dutch Master cigar.
Yeah, let me take my glasses off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you really, that's a very interesting look you've gotten going for you. It's very Rembrandt.
Is it good or bad?
Oh, it's good.
You like it? Okay.
Yeah, it's good. But how does your wife like it?
She seems to adapted to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does she take you out in public?
Yeah, we go in public.
Yeah.
Does she walk near you?
No, I make her walk behind me like 5 paces.
Well, that's very Oriental of you.
No, it's yeah. Anyway, how are you doing, Phil?
All right. I took the day off today.
Why is that?
Well, I had a nuclear stress test.
Oh, you had the nuclear. Oh, I had one of those. It's wonderful. In fact, I was talking to my doctor today about the one that I had.
Yeah.
And he said, this is a very interesting fact, that people who have had the nuclear stress test, what they do, folks, is they inject you with nuclear isotopes. All right? And then they go and put you in a machine and look inside you. Right? Okay.
Yeah. And it's called gamma camera.
Yeah. Now, he has known people who have left the test and been stopped by the police because they thought he was carrying radioactive material. Because on the highways, people, you wonder how they stop nuclear devices from getting into cities and stuff. They have ways of checking for nuclear radiation. And if if you've just been nuked, you'll get stopped. You could get stopped by the cops.
They said it would take about 3 days before I stopped glowing.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I asked them. I said,
what, they put you on a treadmill first?
Yeah. The first thing they did was inject. The first thing they did was inject me without stress. They wait an hour.
Yeah.
And they take a photo. And then they put me on the treadmill, make me do that, and then then I have to do 1 more minute where they're injecting me as I'm running on the treadmill. And then they take another photo. So, but you have to wait an hour while the little things go around you.
Well, no, what they did with me is they didn't put me on a treadmill. They injected me with some material that makes your heart beat like a little bunny rabbit.
Right, because yours, it was a different deal.
Yeah, and it was too
stenosis.
Yeah, it was just too much. I mean, it was the most annoying thing. I thought at points. Yes, Scott.
Brian had the question.
Oh, Brian, you have a question?
Yeah. I was just going to say, well, 2 things. One related to what we're talking about, and the other thing, real quick. You got the news as much as I did. The good news that Lucifer's being picked up by Netflix.
That's right.
And I'll tell you something else. I'd like to see a spin-off with the Cain character. If you've ever read Sergeant Barry Sadler's Casca, as in Casca Rufio Longinus, the man who executed Christ, who lives forever.
Sergeant Barry Sadler. He wrote.
Yeah. He was an author. He was an author. Yep. He was an author too. Yep. He was an author. He's a hell of a guy. You should check his bio out. Very interesting guy. Very
on the guitar.
But they're bringing.
But they should make Cain. Reminds me a lot of the backstory of Cain.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of Casca.
Cain,
I like the actor who plays him. He should have his own show.
Well, that actor was the guy who played Superboy on Smallville.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, yeah. And he played Cain, then went on to play Cain on Lucifer, in which it's Cain of Cain and Abel, and he's lived forever because he has the mark of Cain and he can't die. You can do it. You could grind him in a grinder and he would come back to life.
The other thing I wanted to say that's related to this is, as far as nuclear weaponry is concerned and smuggling it into the country, even if you had a device that was capable capable of wiping out half the eastern seaboard, for example, wouldn't matter if the cops stopped you 90 miles away from, like, Boston, Massachusetts.
Right.
You could just detonate the motherfucker right there and still accomplish your goal, or at
pretty
least
much.
cause economic devastation.
Yeah, but let me say that let's get back to Lucifer for a second. The good news is Netflix has picked it up. The bad news is they picked it up for 10 episodes.
Well, they may be 10 more concise, better written episodes.
I would believe so, and somebody said, are they going to be longer? And the producer said, probably not. They'll probably be 46 minutes each. But I think he's thinking in television terms right now. I think when they get down to doing it, they'll go, hey, you know, we can make this an hour and nobody's going to be pissed off at us for that.
Unless they're testing the waters. This is a prototype thing. And I'm also happy because, as far as I know, this is the first time I've seen a live-action televised adaptation of a Vertigo comic strip.
Well, there's another one, iZombie.
Okay.
Which is on WB, and it's pretty good too.
It hasn't been canceled. I wanted to watch that. I haven't gotten around to watching
But the
that
thing
yet.
is, with this was just, it was a great show, and it's one of those shows now in this day and age, the fans can save a show.
Oh, yes,
now, years ago, they did save a very famous show, the first one that was ever saved. No, Star Trek. They were going to cancel it after 2 seasons, and because of the fan base, they went another season with it in that first run. But the thing is that today there's so many other options if a show gets kicked off the air. You know,
It's not the original Shatner Star Trek, right?
right? Yeah, you can go over. You know, you can go over to Netflix. You can go over to Hulu. I mean, this thing actually there was kind of a bidding war going on here for Lucifer, because Hulu wanted it, Amazon wanted it, Netflix wanted it. And Hulu had the reruns here in the United States. And, Amazon, I think, had the rights to it in Europe, but Netflix also had a version of it in Europe, of the ones that were running on CBS.
What you just said there, Alex, tells me that if Netflix fucks with the cast and crew of Lucifer the way that Fox did, well, they've got 3 other bidders who are willing to pick it up.
But Netflix is not known with fucking around with people.
They're not.
Their attitude is, and always has been since the beginning with this doing original stuff, is we have a belief in what you're doing. Go ahead and do it. We're not going to interfere and tell you what to do or not to do.
Talk about Netflix shows, though. There's one thing, I don't know if you've checked this out or your wife may have checked it out, 13 Reasons Why. I don't think I can watch that again. And I'm pretty cynical.
I watched about 10 minutes of it, and that was it for me. Do you know what I just picked up on? And here's another show that's been saved. There was a show on Sci-Fi called The Expanse that Damien really loves, and somebody wrote me about it. So I got my hands on the first 2 seasons, and I started watching one of them, and it's pretty damn good. Well, it got canceled by Sci-Fi, but Amazon has picked it up. Just like it, because they had such a good experience with Black Mirror out of England.
Which, Walmart has their own streaming service too. Did you know that?
Yeah, what are they streaming? Billy Graham.
Walmart. I think the Walmart's streaming service is called Vudu. VUDU.
You want to know the streaming service that is just going to suck and is going to do terribly? Apple. It's just like Apple. You build phones. You build.
They're a lot like Nintendo in some sense.
You don't go into production.
Top down. No room for dissension. No room for independent thought. Whatever Tim Cook says goes. Whatever the head honcho at Nintendo says goes. They're one and the same.
And their idea of a good time is hiring Oprah.
Yeah.
There's an original idea.
Good luck.
Boy. You know what I forgot to bring in here? I forgot to bring in my my Snapple. I may have to go out and have you talk to each other and go get my Snapple in a couple of minutes because I'm getting thirsty. Well, I didn't do it.
Scott reminds me of Jeff Bridges.
Just talk to each other for a second.
Young Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's an older one, right?
Yeah. But, his father was a big influence in my life. The Sea Hunt, Lloyd Bridges.
Hugh Bridges. Hugh Bridges, is that his name?
No,
his
Lloyd.
Father?
Lloyd, the dad.
Lloyd Bridges, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even bought.
I remember him more from. The Hot Shots movies and the parodies he did. But yeah, I heard of Sea Hunt before.
Yeah, wasn't he in that airplane stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the airplane. That was Leslie Nielsen, but.
Oh, okay.
Leslie Nielsen, that's right. Correct.
There's another actor I respect from before he turned to comedy and afterward, but. Lloyd Bridges. He's interesting to me as well.
Yeah.
Have you had a good time without me?
You can go back and get another Snapple for the rest of us.
Yeah,
all right?
no, I forgot to get it. So I didn't. I was too busy with other stuff. So.
Don't you have wait service in your apartment?
No, I don't. No.
You just clap your hands.
The maid's off for the night.
His wife does, but not him.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm the maid in the house. I
figured as much.
Those turn of the century apartments that were really big, those 25-room apartments. I remember in my friend's house, there was a button that you could push in each room. He had 33 rooms.
We have a button.
And in the kitchen, there's a box with different numbers that are like flags, and they drop down. And so let's say you're in room 13 and you want the maid to come in or you want the butler to bring something. You push the button, it signals the thing in the kitchen, and then the servant comes in.
Where our dining room table is, there's a supposedly there's a kind of a hole that's been puttied up, and what it was a bell that you hit with your foot while you were eating dinner to get your maid to come in and serve you.
Right.
And also there's another button we have that was also another one of those buttons in the living room. So there were a lot of those, but we.
Yeah, well, my friend's house, it even had maids' quarters that could service up to 10 maids or 10 people.
Well, we have our pantry. It used to be the maids' quarters here.
Really,
and also in this building, in the other building, there were several apartments that were all for the staff of the various people who lived here, where they could stay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my friend's house was in Scarborough, which is in Westchester, and it was built in 1901 by the Vanderlip family, who must have killed a lot of people to build a house that was on 4 acres in Scarborough overlooking the Hudson River. But that's how the maid system thing worked, and it was all original, and it worked.
Yeah, well, this is one of those apartments that had somewhat the same thing. I mean, it had gas lights. They didn't have electricity when it first opened up. The electricity was added later.
Yeah.
In fact,
I think they did it by electrifying the gas lights.
Well,
didn't they the wires through the pipes?
No, what I think they actually just put electricity into all the apartments. But what happened is there is no, except for the bathroom where somebody did it when they redid the bathroom, and in the living room there is one wall switch. There are only 2 wall switches in the entire apartment house. All the rest of the things are like these. I don't know if you can see them up here. Can we see them?
The push button?
We have some light. No, it's like
sconces.
It's sconces, right? And you got to turn them all on and off by hand. Either that, or you do what I do over here. Is I have like a torch lamp and I have it plugged into the wall.
Well, you can also get these remote control things.
No, but I can't do that. I can't do that. No, because these things, That's what got me. It really has me bothered, is because people can tell their echoes, turn off the lamps or dim the lamps, and they can just have a switch, a wall switch that works by remote control, right? I can't do that here. There's just nothing like that here. Maybe I could do it in the bathroom, but that's it.
And you can't do it with smart bulbs and an iPhone?
Maybe I could use a smart bulb, but come on, they're $40 a piece. To just be able to tell Echo to turn the lights on and off, I think I can do it on my own.
Yeah, the height of laziness. You got to get one of those clappers. You clap on, clap off.
That's old, Phil.
And you take penicillin.
We used to make fun of that in school. I remember when I was in high school and whatnot, or middle school, we came up with an idea for, instead of the slogan, it goes clap on, clap off, clap on. It was slap on tampon.
Anyway, here's the deal. Here's the deal. What happened was I got these as part of my genius, because there are no lights in the closets, right? I went and got these Mr. Lights or something that you get, and you put them there, and you could use them for outside. And then when somebody walks by them, they start up, right? So that when somebody would open the door, I would get light in the closet. Well, then they came out with one that was brighter. So I got these bigger ones and installed them, and I had all these other ones. And I just put them down somewhere, and we found that whenever we walked by them at night, they went on. So I have them at various places, like the bathroom, where when you walk in, this light goes on.
It's called a night light.
Kind of, yeah. But these were,
absolute genius.
No, it was genius on my part, because you couldn't see in these fucking closets when you tried to go into them, because there were no lights around to light them.
Yeah. Hey, I've been meaning to ask you, do you speak any Spanish?
No. I mean, I just did.
Now, you worked in Houston for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you might have jumped over the border and, you got any papers to prove that you're in this country illegally?
There we go again. Here we go again.
Was he trying to be a Texan or something?
Yeah.
Does it? Phil, do you have any proof that you're not an asshole?
He's putting down your people, Scott.
He might be.
Yeah. No, he's from Iowa.
Yeah. Is there anything happening tonight that the reason why we don't have more callers? Or is it just nobody wants to talk to me?
They hate you. Everybody hates you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good assessment.
Yeah.
There's one person I hate on this network, and it sure as shit ain't Alex.
Hate's a strong word.
It's a strong word.
You're right. You're right. It is a strong word. Here's an even stronger one: despise.
Well, I don't. If somebody doesn't agree with you, that means that you hate and despise them?
No, I think he hates and despises them because this person hated and despised him.
Bill, not you.
You'll never get anybody to come around
you into submission,
but you don't get people to come around to your way of thinking by reacting the same way they react to you.
I'm not. It's when you resort to underhanded tactics in other venues to try to shame me and silence me into submission. That's when you see my bad side.
You don't want to piss Brian off. He's the person most likely to commit mass murder on this program.
Only when I really have nothing.
If the day ever came that I heard that he went in somewhere and shot up like a McDonald's, okay, I wouldn't be one of those guys who says, "Gee, he was such a nice guy." The last thing I expected out of him. No, it's pretty much the first thing I expected.
I can see that.
All of those body parts that he was carrying, he was really going for the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. He didn't work for anybody.
Yeah, he's just recycling. He's just recycling.
Recycling his work. Yeah,
that's how they make hot dogs.
So anyway, we could use some more callers. I don't know. And also, the listenership's a little low tonight, so I'm just wondering if something's going on, like a basketball game or.
Maybe it's Tuesday because it's Tuesday, beginning of the week. It's summer vacation. People are doing shit, you know.
Who knows? You know, I've given up trying to get the logic in it all.
Yeah, there's no logic. You know, I have salespeople. They say, "Oh, there's no customers coming in. That's why my sales are low." And I tell them, you know, that's not why your sales are low. You're just not selling the ones that do come in, you know.
Hey, Phil, you need to get them to get those signs and stand out there and twirl them around and get customers in then.
You know, that's an interesting thing you say. I am having a guy design what's called a building wrap, and so the whole side of the building is going to be an American flag with a silhouette of soldiers, and you know, something like Carpet One supports the troops. The city won't allow me to put a sign up that's, you know, that says the name of my store any larger than I have. So I have to take it out and say it's art.
You know something?
Hey, Phil,
somebody.
What about I was just going to say, Phil, what about a play on the words Carpe Diem?
I had to call. You know, it's funny. I had something happen to me today. I had to call a doctor to make an appointment. Okay. A neurologist. And by the way, you can't just, you know, in the old days, you want to go see a doctor, you call up the doctor, they say, well, we have Tuesdays, okay. How's Wednesday for you at 3 o'clock? You know?
Oh, 6 months from now.
No, August 1st. August 1st.
3 months? 2 months?
Yeah, well, my feet are hurting.
About 6 weeks.
Yeah. I'm sure if I said it was a real emergency and I was on death's door and I needed a neurologist, they'd grab me in tomorrow. But anyway, so they said, so let me get some material on you, and it seemed like they immediately knew my address, and it turned out it's Mount Sinai, and because I had the kidney thing, you know, the kidney stone, I have an account there. So anyway. She says, so what's your Medicare number? And I'm going, yeah. And they said, are you a veteran? Now, I've never been asked that question, really, you know, in those terms. And I had to think about it. And I went, well, I was in the military. And the first words out of her mouth were, thank you for your service.
Wow.
And I was about ready to say, do you know where I served? Hollywood, California. Okay? And I didn't have to wear a uniform. And blah 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 blah. It just was always it was the first time I ever really had somebody say thank you for your service.
Well, you did get a participation trophy, didn't you?
No.
Well, you got a DD-214.
What's a DD-214?
That's what they gave you when you honorably discharged.
Well, why do you know all this? You were never honorably discharged from anything.
No, but my father was a Korean War veteran, and I did some things for him. There was a medal that they gave people that served in Korea.
Actually, Marjorie sent away for my and got my papers, my discharge papers.
Yeah, that's a DD-214.
So that if we ever want to, you know, get a VA loan, we can go get it, you know. Or maybe I want to go to school on the VA plan, you know?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, things like that.
Go to Harvard.
Yeah. But no, I was amazed that, I'm going, August 1st? God, you know, will I be alive by August 1st, you know? That's a long way away.
You should have said, look, I'm 78. I don't know, you know, August 1st, it's a long time, you know. Maybe they would have, done you a favor.
Yeah.
They can always get people in. You know, they can move his golf date.
And then they said, how old are you? And I was about ready to say, you mean by the time you see me? Yeah, it was amazing to me. And then she said, the first date I have is August 2nd at 3 o'clock. And I said, oh.
You lose August 1st?
And she said, well, wait a minute. And then she said, oh, but I have August 1st at 11:15 or something like that. And I said, okay, I'll take that. I'm thinking, boy, a whole day earlier. Wow. You know, so anyway, that was my.
Well, on the treadmill, they got me up to blood pressure of 214 over 87. I think they were trying to make me blow a gasket.
Yeah, well, what did they say? Was there any result?
I haven't gotten it yet. I'll either get it tonight or tomorrow, and I'll let you know. I won't be here tomorrow. I got the photo club thing.
No, really?
There is a lot better shine off your head from all the nuclear stuff, though, today.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is with my lights here, but
you should. Your joke should be the lights aren't on here.
I missed that one. I'm full of radiation.
Well, I went to the doctor today for my yearly checkup. I don't know how the blood work's going to turn out, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think it's going to all be fine. But every time I go, he does an EKG, and the EKG always says blockage.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, don't get stunned.
That's what I got.
Well,
mine probably is.
No, I do have a blockage. I do have a mild stenosis in my aortic valve. That means there's a calcium buildup or some buildup in the aorta, but it's very mild. And when I first got the test, it was so he said, we haven't done it in 2 years. Let's go do an echocardiogram. So he lies me on my side and they put all the jelly on you, which that stuff doesn't come off once they put it on you. You try to get it off with a Kleenex and it doesn't stick to the Kleenex, and it's like sperm. Anyway.
No, they didn't do anything but no jelly for me. They shaved a little bit. They stuck these little things with a button on it.
Yeah, well, that's what they do with me, but I don't have any hair left on my body, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, so he goes and checks me. Now, what was it? 5 years ago when I first had an echocardiogram, it was a 9, which is mild stenosis. Okay? So it's not even anything to worry about. He says, we'll do it another 2 years. 2 years later, he does it. It's up to an 11. So now it's now it's up to 2 years later, and it's at a 12. And I said, how bad is that? And he said, we start worrying at 40. He said, you could keep going up every year 1 point, and you'd be dead before you ever saw a problem out of this aortic stenosis. So don't even worry about it. He says, everything looks great in there. Your heart's terrific, And then we got to talking about the PSA test. He says, don't worry about that. They go up, they go down, they go sideways. He said, unless it's a really profoundly bad one.
Would you tell him you just got to know?
And even if you came in and we tested you and we found out you had prostate cancer, we just say, don't worry about it, go home. Because it's so slow to progress at your age.
My PSA is 0.
Well, I know your PSA is 0. What are you, bragging? Well, I'll brag, okay? I still have a prostate, okay?
What do you do with it?
Well, when I jerk off, something comes out.
Yeah, well, my sheets stay clean.
No, they don't. Well, if you keep your diaper.
That's when you're wearing exactly. When you're wearing the diaper, you beat me to it, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I went to the doctor, and I forgot to tell him about just these cramps I've been getting in my legs every now and then. But I take magnesium, and then I don't get them. So it could have to
Might it be due to circulation?
No, it's probably more the diet. The low carb diet has a tendency.
Now, when they tested you,
but I forgot to mention it to him. What?
My nutritionist told me to take magnesium, but she also told me to take vitamin D. That the two work in concert.
I take D every month, every day.
Yeah, me too.
D. But I forgot to tell him about the cramps in the legs. But he probably would have said the same thing. It's just probably lack of vitamins. Do this, do that. Because there's nothing terrible about getting cramps in the legs. Except the cramps are terrible. They hurt. But I think basically. I'm in fairly good shape, The only
for
thing,
78, yes, you are.
The only thing,
for 70, you're in great shape.
The only thing that's wrong is this neuropathy, So I'm gonna go see a neurologist about that, and he said I said, the only thing I'm afraid of is they're going to put me in an MRI machine, and I can't go in an MRI because I'd go bonkers, right?
They have open MRI.
Well, no, he said they may not even have to use an MRI. She can probably just assess what's going on and figure it out without having to put you in that. And there are a lot of other ways they can find out what it is without using an MRI.
You put blinders on and it doesn't bother you?
No, just knowing that I am in a confined space drives me nuts. We just lost. We only have 2 people now.
It's probably a temporary loss.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to call this program?
You stuck with us.
What? Yeah. No, it's okay. And we lost Scott. It's just you and me, Phil.
Well, he probably went to refill his wine.
Oh, here comes Brian back again. Wait a minute. Let me see here. There we go. And Brian he's back.
Must have hit a dead spot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that he's back, we got to stop talking about him or it'll kill us.
Yeah. But folks, we could use some more callers, okay? So don't let me sit here all alone with just these people, although I like them.
I am technically traveling through Pennsyltucky, or as I call it, Pennsylfucky, as what's his name? James Carville coined eloquently.
Yeah.
Now, is that considered the Ozark? Not the Ozarks, but where is that area where a lot of poor people live? And there's a trail, Appalachia.
Yeah, Appalachia. Yeah. It used to be a poor area. For all we know now, it's prime real estate.
I'm sure it is.
Global warming the way it is, it will be.
People from New York are moving there and commuting.
Yeah. So So anyway, I guess we should discuss the news.
Of course.
Yeah. You start, Phil.
Well, I am glad that Trump is staying the course and he's not acquiescing and backing down to the propaganda that's being put forward with these kid separations. And he's holding his own. He says, I want the wall. I want this. You want the kids? Give me the wall. He's negotiating. And plus the fact that the kids, when you arrest somebody, because now the law on the books and has been on the books is that it's a crime. So he's finally enforcing the laws that we have. And by enforcing the laws, when you arrest somebody and they're with a child, you separate them. If you arrest somebody and they're with a dog, you put them in the, you put them in, where dogs go.
Doesn't this make you want to call, folks?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so, I just figured that I would be ready to...
Phil, that is the most hilarious bit you've ever done on this show.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
It's a good one. I mean, you had me really there. You had me there for a moment.
Yeah. I had you at Trump.
Instead of a wall, why don't we just build the ovens right now?
Yeah, I think we should go straight to ovens.
There was a photographer that's been documenting this stuff down in some city that's borders the Rio Grande, and I guess there was a 2-year-old that he got a picture of, and it's running around where the 2-year-old is crying and saying "Daddy," and this picture has been reposted.
Yeah, and of course we all know it's been that's photoshopped.
Oh, no. Child actors.
Anytime.
Child actors. Yeah.
Right. Anytime that a child is separated from their parents, I would imagine this is, normal stuff. But unfortunately, it would happen if a guy knocked over a liquor store, got arrested, and he had his child in the car.
I see. Okay.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
People,
the law.
People coming across the border trying to flee some kind of oppression is equal to somebody who robs a bank.
If they went to the border crossing and they were with child, they would not have been separated when they asked for
asylum.
Asylum.
Yes. No, that's separate them.
No, they don't separate.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of noise out of you.
That's him grinding up body parts.
Brian, there's a lot of noise there. What is that? Brian?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe.
Yeah, your microphone was like overmodulating or something. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Phil. Well, you're right, Phil. So people break the law, we should steal their children. Yeah.
Hey, it's an unfortunate consequence.
No, it's not an unfortunate consequence because there's something that could be done about it. He could just give the order to stop it.
No, it's the Democrats' fault.
But it's the we realize it's the Democrats' fault, and you can't do anything about those asshole Democrats.
Right.
You know.
He's asked Democrats,
for Christ's sake,
to take care of DACA, but he wanted his wall, and he has been steadfast that he wants the wall. So
he's got to get Mexico to pay for it. That's what he said he wanted to do, get Mexico to pay for it.
They will.
What's holding him up?
Well, when they want their kids back, they're going to have to pay.
Well, these aren't Mexican kids. They're Guatemalans and Hondurans. And
I wonder, Scott, seriously, when they come from Guatemala and Honduras and they go into Mexico, isn't that the country that should take them?
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree with you, Phil, and I think these people are no good loafers, and trying to come across our border is illegal. And if you get arrested, we're going to take your babies away from you. I think it's a wonderful solution, and certainly the thing that made this country great.
The left-wing media said that they were insects.
Get it right.
Great again. Well, he's making it great again. This is what made the country great before.
By taking the baby.
Yeah, we did. We said there was a time when we killed Indians and stuff. This has been our grand tradition.
Oh, how many Indian babies did we kill? We gotta get back to killing kids.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. I like it.
Oh boy, Phil.
Hey, it would give Brian something to do instead of killing adults.
He's got more parts to sell.
Exactly. I don't even know if he sells them. He might just, enjoy them.
How many kids are there, Scott? About 2,000 now they've got?
2,000.
Something like that.
About 2,400 or something like that.
Well, the Nielsen gal, she said there were 10,000, and then there's 2,000 more. So I don't know, 12,000 that they're housing right now down there.
About the 10,000.
What?
I don't know about the 10,000. I think that since the law changed, there was 2,400.
What law changed?
The interpretation that they were going to treat it as a criminal act rather than a civil act, I believe.
Oh, I see. So there was no law; there was just interpretation. But it's the Democrat.
Well, the law is there, but that's how it was not enforced.
Well, the 10,000 were kids that were supposed to have been going there on their own without a parent.
To begin with, this law, whatever law they're referring to, which is now becoming very vague, and even the president can't quote it, it was created for the safety of children, not to put them in harm's way, and that was for children who didn't have parents and so on. Here's exactly what the president and Jeff Sessions, who are basically the devil incarnate, have interpreted this whole thing to be. These people are committing a crime. Therefore, if we arrest them, we do exactly what we would do with a felon. If we arrest them, we would take their children and put them in foster homes. Okay.
So these children that come over unaccompanied.
And this is like the most heinous crime of all time. These are just absolutely violently dangerous people.
It only takes one suitcase bomber to get across.
Yeah, well, have any suitcase bombs come across yet?
No,
then shut the fuck up. Then shut the fuck up.
We're enforcing the law.
Oh, we're enforcing what law?
Especially those 10-year-olds with the suitcase
the
bomb.
laws.
There's a lot of those.
Even the Republicans are agreeing that the laws he's quoting that exist don't exist.
Well, I've been looking at some of the pictures of these supposed separated children.
Well, those are. Hold on a second. They did a central casting in Hollywood, and they hired kids to play the part of these kids. Yeah, I know
I'm telling
that.
you, these 14-year-olds have, full mustaches. They look like 20-year-olds. And they don't have any documentation, so when they say that they're being separated from their parents, you can't even prove that that's their parents.
Somebody else, please call this program and help me out here.
Hey, when we're having a convention in July in Montreal, and they put the word
the
out
convention
that
of
if you
heartless people? What is the convention?
Right, carpet convention. The thing is, they put the word out that if you have a DUI, don't bother coming, because they're not going to let you into the country.
Yeah, I know. I had my friend Bob Rubin had that problem. Right,
exactly. And so, they're keeping people out with a DUI that has been adjudicated, and they don't, they've either served their time, paid their fine, and they can't enter Canada.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to buy. I don't want to buy carpet from a criminal. I'm sorry.
Of course not. I'm wondering how much attendance there's going to be this year.
Well, there's going to be a lot of pot though up in Canada because they just made it legal for the whole country.
Sweet. Really? Another reason to go to Canada.
Yeah.
So I don't use pots, but I do have a frying pan.
Pot? Oh, pots. Oh, okay, I see. The pot. Yeah.
The Twitter.
Come on, folks. We only have 45 minutes of show left. Are any of you assholes going to call me?
Yeah. Well, they usually, meander in as time goes by.
I have no idea. There's a low audience level. The audience or audio audience is large tonight, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then, of course, Jack does the show after me. I hope you guys will call him.
Yeah.
What else do I have to do?
I know.
Nothing. This is my own. This is my life, Alex. You can't quit.
Well, as you know, he's been doing the show by himself lately. So.
Yes.
He has.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Then yes, I will call.
Yes, please call me. We'd love to hear from you, Brian.
He's actually asked for.
I have a lot of respect for the man, of course.
Yes, of course. It's funny since he's been doing it all by himself, the numbers on it have gone up quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, you called it right before I did, Alex, because you've been dealing with it before longer than I have. So, and you've been dealing with it in a greater capacity.
Well, I mean,
in a more intimate capacity.
Yeah. Well, I don't tell people what to do with their shows. Okay. I just say, hey, you want a show? They go, yeah. Okay, go do it. I don't tell them how to do it. If he wants to have Hitler on as a permanent co-host, I'm not going to stop him. Okay.
Well, you got Phil. Come on.
I got Phil. He can get Hitler.
You got Hitler Jr.
Yeah, and so I don't tell people how to run their show. But if they want my opinion about what do you think and how's it going, I'll be happy to tell them. I just felt that when I heard from you, Brian, that you had been somehow chastised and not wanted on the show because a certain person was afraid that their campaign would be affected by you if they ever heard you on the show.
Right.
I went, that should not be a consideration. The fact you're running for office should not dictate the programming of the show. And that's self-serving. And I simply said to Jack, I'm going to lay down the law, the only law I will ever lay down. You want her on the show, that's fine. I don't want her campaigning on the show. The campaign should have nothing to do with the program. And when I hear that the reason she didn't want Brian on is because it might hurt her candidacy, that's not good.
But there's a deeper reason than that. It was just she just didn't. Either she didn't didn't like me.
That doesn't matter. What I'm saying, what matters to me was, and all I said, I didn't say she couldn't be on the show. I didn't tell her to get off the show. I just said, I don't want her politic, because every time I tune in, she'd be talking about her campaign this and her campaign that, And and then when it finally came to a point where it affected the program and the decisions of who's going to be on that program or not be on that program, I said, that's it, no more campaigning on the show, and she decided to quit. Okay.
Whatever.
So it was up to her. Nobody fired her. Nobody told her to leave. Nobody told her to go. She was quite welcome to stay, but under certain conditions. And if she worked for a radio station, let's say Jack were still on a regular radio station and she was still the co-host with him, if she ran for political office, she would have to stop being on the show until the campaign was over with.
She has another show. I don't remember what night it is, but she has her own show.
It's like Monday afternoons or something.
Yeah. So, that's fine. Go politic there. But, I mean, nobody told her to leave. She made
all the luck to her.
She made that decision to herself, so it's now, as it should have been in the beginning, the intersection with Jack Bishop. Because I gave him the show, and whatever baggage he wanted to bring along, fine. I think he does a fine job on his own, without anybody. And I thank you guys for keeping him company and calling the show. The other night I heard he had more people than I had.
He did have a bunch on Friday, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's I think it's a very good show now. I suggest that everybody listen to it and not ruin. Nobody's also chatting tonight. Wow, that's unusual. We don't have Forbin Colossus there. We don't have all those people who normally, are calling. I noticed Jeff was signing.
Has Renee let you know what's going on in Hawaii, or James Lee?
Renee? No, Renee hasn't called in days. In a week, maybe. And James calls occasionally. He's only an occasional.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because he's a lot closer to the volcanic activity than Renee is.
Yeah. Sit up straight, Allie. It's very hard to sit up straight. Okay, I like to be relaxed. All right. So fuck you for it. But anyway,
so he is writing.
Yeah, he finally wrote.
He must have heard you saying there's no comments here.
Yeah. I got a note the other day about somebody saying, it's terrible that you only have 20 people watching. And to begin with, the number you see on your screen has nothing to do with the number of people who watch the show over the show, okay? Yeah. Secondly, with all the other ways we distribute this show, each of these episodes reaches somewhere like around 500 people. Now, while that's not a lot for the internet, it's something.
Yeah.
You found, since you stopped posting on Facebook,
I'm still posting it on Facebook.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're not going out live on Facebook.
No. When I was going out live on Facebook, I got more people. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other avenues haven't picked it up yet.
But YouTube is really quite perfect. Oh, here comes Ray Renati. What do you know? Okay, maybe.
Ray.
Maybe here comes Ray, and Ray. Let me bring this up to you because it was being insinuated on. Let's see if we get a picture on Ray. There he is. Oh, he's in his car.
Is it working?
Another person in their car.
Yeah, well, I figured it needs some help.
Maybe we'll have the two of you sing songs and it could be carpool karaoke, internet style.
Who else is in their car? Oh, he's so dark. I can't.
Yeah, well,
that's
but that's because it's daytime. It's nighttime out there where
There's
Brian
a time
is.
differential between Mr. Renati and myself.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So Ray, we were talking earlier about the fact that Phil says that all these pictures of little kids and everything are phony, and they probably hired.
You said they're phony. I talked about it as being real, but being just normal. That would be the normal reaction
kids
of
behind a chain link fence with thermal blankets. This is normal.
Hey, 3 hats and a cot. These kids charged across the border. They were accomplices to these mothers and fathers. You know, they could have been mules carrying the drugs. You know?
Folks, I would fight this, but that would be only encouraging him. This is.
I'm sorry for laughing.
This is really shitty, Phil.
How shitty is it?
It's so shitty that, quite frankly, I've realized we don't live in America anymore. This is not the America that I believed existed. We're doing things which, if any other country were to do them, we'd be saying just ghastly things about them. We'd be asking for world sanctions against them.
Well, we're out of the United Nations Human Rights Commission.
And rightfully so. But, you know, they compare this to concentration camps. They compare it to what was done to the Japanese American citizens
that's
during World War II.
That's closer.
No,
I wouldn't say
not,
it's not
because
like
those were Americans that they ripped out of their homes and put them in camps.
Were they really?
These are criminals coming across.
Criminals.
They were spies.
Bullshit.
They're all
These are
criminals
people
coming
coming
across. Every one of these is criminals.
Especially the 4-year-olds.
Oh, God.
Get the fuck out of here.
I can't even laugh at that.
By the way, when you go on your murder binge, Brian, if the first one you kill is Phil, none of us will say a thing.
I didn't think he would. But no, he's not on my hit list.
Oh,
you know damn well. Hey, Alex, you know damn well who would be on my hit list.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Brian, I give you time.
Like I said, Phil, I know friends who I have friends in high school who then, even in high school, one in particular, his name was John. I won't say his last name of the year, but he makes you seem like Bernie Sanders in comparison. And we still talk every now and then on Facebook and whatnot.
Hey, you know, I mean, in this world, in this country, you should be able to have the opinion you want and not be ridiculed for it. And you know, everybody gets their shot.
Well, that was before the internet.
Yeah, I don't try to change anybody else's mind, and you know, and I respect.
And you know something, Phil? At the rate you're going, you're not going to.
Well,
I have no desire.
Nobody's going to teach anybody's opinion here.
I got a special page for you, Alex.
I mean, the only thing that I find amazing is that you went today for a checkup, and they actually found you did have a heart.
No, I haven't got the results back, so I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Who was it? The Tin Man that didn't have the heart?
Yes.
Well, the blood, my blood work
represents big oil.
My blood work is yet to come back, so we don't know that I'm 100% out of the woods. But I told my doctor, I said to begin with, when he was doing this echocardiogram, he said, "Do you want me to talk to you, or you don't want me to talk to you?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because some people are bothered if I talk to them while I'm doing this, because then when I pause and I'm just looking at something, they think there's something wrong." He said, "So I can either give you the talking version or the no talking version." I said, "Give me the talking version." And but he was talking. He was just saying that everything looks fine. You're at least I know that's good. But now we got to wait for the blood work to come. Last year, all my cholesterol stuff was terrible. But it was because I somehow had forgotten to take my pill for a whole month. I forgot to put it in the little tray that I put all my pills in. And then when I used the drugs, the statins, I had just wonderful numbers. And I probably should have much better numbers now that I'm working out for LDL cholesterol and so on.
Well, did they do your A1C?
What's the A1C?
That's
I had that. Mine was high.
That's your sugar.
To the hospital and have a CT scan.
Well,
yeah,
my sugar's fine.
It's 6.6 yesterday, or when they did it.
You know, Phil, there's a lot of false positives with A1C. That's why if you have a high one, then you have to get a whole bunch of tests, because the A1C might be a false positive, which it was in my case. I had a really high A1C, so I had to go get all these CT scans and some other things.
I have very few sugars in my system, so you know.
Yeah.
And I don't have diabetes either. So.
Well, that's good because that's the scourge, diabetes.
Yeah, you have diabetes, right?
Oh yeah, and I was happy with a 6.6. I'd be a lot happier if it was under 6, but the other thing.
Hey,
is
let me ask you a question. Am I in your will at all?
Yeah, I was thinking about sending you to my microphones.
Yeah, because I just do you have a will?
No, and
I would get one.
Something I thought about.
I would get one because this is your second. This is your second brush with death. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
you should get you should get a revocable trust with a will included in it.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I got the name of an attorney that does those things, and
one of the first things girlfriend did when we got married is she had wills made up. It was like I had the Grim Reaper looking over my shoulder.
Yeah,
I did mine like 20 years ago when I was in my early 40s, but it was weird. But I'm glad I did it. Glad we did it.
Yeah. Nah, you're surprised the things you think about when you go in for these kinds of operations and so forth. And as I was saying the other night, I was more worried about the mess that I would leave for everybody else. Because my paperwork is in disarray. I mean, even if you look to find my my life insurance, you can't find it. I mean, it's in a safe, but what I need to do is get like a 3-ring binder and put everything in a 3-ring binder in a very organized manner with extra keys for storage.
Yeah, but you won't do that, and someday when you drop dead, your lady friend is going to have to sort all this shit out.
Yeah, well, that's why putting it in a 3-ring binder with pages that, like those plastic pages that they use for photographs.
Yeah.
And you just put the stuff in there, extra keys, life insurance, all the important papers, birth certificate, because they got to get those things for the death certificate.
That's what my parents did.
This is all. This is just.
And they had one page where it says where everything else is.
This is such an uplifting discussion that we're having here.
It's so cryptic.
Well, it got you more participants.
Hey, Jeff. Hi, how are you, Jeff?
Boy, I had all kinds of problems with Skype tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we didn't have too many people here. I don't know.
I tried about 7 different ways to get on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I by the way, my mild stenosis hasn't gotten worse, so.
Well, that's good.
That was my good news for the day.
Yeah.
However, they had the little hamster here named Phil Meyer on a treadmill today.
Yeah.
They should get you a hamster wheel. That's what they should do.
The funny thing is, you know what they call that section? Nuclear medicine.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
Nuclear. Yeah, nuke.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un will want to put him in a bomb or something.
Jeff, did you just share a photo?
I didn't.
No.
I did something. Something flashed on my screen. I might have done it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't even.
It's a screenshot.
Well, let me see here. I can let the audience see it here. Hold on a second. There it is. It's a screenshot of me and of Jeff.
And Jeff.
I don't know what that is all about.
Mm-hmm. I might have done it accidentally because on the Skype phone thing here, there's a little photo icon in the left corner. I might have touched it.
Yeah. There we go. Well, anyway. The audience, if anybody ever wants to send something, you can do that, and then I can actually show it here to the audience. So
I can send a picture of my penis right now if you want.
No, that's okay, Ray. That's
what are you trying to imitate Wiener?
No, there's no.
You didn't actually send the penis. It was just a bulge.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
If you think about what Wiener did, okay.
And the name.
Well, I think the name is what killed him. Okay, I think to have a story about you exposing yourself in photos on Facebook or whatever, or on Twitter, and then have your name be Wiener. Those two things combined created the story.
There's a lot of elected officials that have crazy names like Flake, Republican Jeff Flake. Can you imagine electing a Flake?
Or Bernie Madoff.
Well, Bernie Madoff run for office.
No, Bernie Madoff with your money. If, for instance, there's a
Madoff with your fucking life savings.
Yeah, exactly.
Made you want to hang yourself up a bridge.
Queens.
The majority of people that Madoff took were Jews.
Yeah, and they deserved it.
Greedy bastards.
It worked. We're going for that 10% return.
Jeff, you say he was from Queens, right?
That's right. Yeah. He was funny as a congressman.
He was a good congressman. He was a great congressman.
Wiener? Wiener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a real fighter. I'm gonna sneeze.
Maybe when you have a name like Wiener, it's a psychological thing from childhood. It's like people made fun of you, so when you grow up, you just can't help it, show it to everyone.
I used to get
Boner.
Yeah, I used to get from the Gentiles on the bus, Oscar Mayer Wiener.
And that's why you turned out the way you did, right? Because you were so bitter from people making fun of you.
No, my father taught me how to counteract this dirty Jew thing. He gave me a roll of dimes. I was in 3rd grade. And he gave me a roll of dimes.
I think you've told us this story before.
You put it in your fist, and when Ray Price said dirty Jew, he says, you just whack him in the face as hard as you can. Well, I did, and he became my friend after that. He didn't see the roll of dimes, but my dad said, look, if they pull you into the principal's office for cold cock of this guy, break up the roll of dimes and just put the dimes in your pocket. Don't waste them.
Who were you married to? Somebody Mario Puzo created? What is this?
My father grew up in the tough part of Brooklyn.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
But
he said the tough guys used to charge him a nickel to get across the street. So he got together with his friends, got 6-inch pieces of rubber hose, and charged the tough guys a dime to get back.
So anyway, shut up a second, Phil.
Yeah.
Not possible.
I want to say something. I mean, what's going on with these kids is pathetic and terrible. It is a horrible, horrible situation.
It's been depressing me.
And the president himself gave the order to make this effective. Okay, and he has the same ability to stop it. And he does.
But that's not what he promised the American people.
No, he didn't promise the American people to jail children.
No, he promised to seal the borders that are
because he created a xenophobia, and
that's just new speak for whatever they want to say about Republicans.
Look at the look on Ray's face. It's like same old, Phil.
Well, the problem is, Phil, is you don't even realize you sound like a Nazi sympathizer.
Veil your papers.
I mean, you do. Go read all the shit from back then. You sound just like the people who just went along with it.
I understand what you're saying, but I also understand that our borders are porous and our security. Look at Germany. Right now, they're having Merkel mania there. They want to get rid of her. Why? Because she opened up the borders, and now they've got trouble like you wouldn't believe.
By the way, Phil, that is a complete lie. The statistics that the German crime rate went up are statistics that are 2 years old. The current ones are the crime rate has gone down.
But they made up those numbers.
And they made up,
How come they want to get rid of Merkel? And her job is tenuous.
Well, no, that's also what you hear. That's also what you hear from your sources. The fact is, it's not the case. The fact is, the crime is actually about down 20% in Germany.
She's considered the leader of the free world right now, Phil. They don't want to get rid of her.
All right.
Yeah, well, she won't be leading for long. If the other reports that I hear are true.
Which are the other reports? Fox, Hannity, Ingram.
Maybe Fox, maybe Hannity. But what do you got against them? They're legitimate broadcasters.
They're legitimate entertainers.
They are the prime example of fake news.
Well, you know, I see how the news gets interpreted.
You see that Steve Levitan is leaving
Wait,
Fox?
Tim, let Tim talk. Tim?
You see, Steve Levitan, executive producer for Modern Family, is leaving Fox. They currently use Fox Studios, and he says he won't have anything to do with Fox anymore. So, there's a crack in the dam, and the dam's gonna burst pretty soon when it comes to Fox News.
Fox News, but you shouldn't have to worry about the Fox Studios on account of the fact that both Comcast and Disney are.
Yeah, to begin with. Wait a minute. Hold on a second, Tim. If Levitan said that, he's a fucking idiot, and I'm going to tell you why.
He might be.
Because Murdoch is selling off Fox, and part of what he's selling off is Fox Studios. Okay, and it looks like it's going to be bought up by who's the current. There are a couple of people now.
I'll take Comcast over Disney, but if there's others involved,
Comcast wants it. Disney wants it. One of them is going to get Fox Studios. Therefore, Steve Levitan doesn't have to worry about dealing with that entity. Okay.
Well, but in his tweet, he said he's leaving regardless of who it's sold to.
Well,
he acknowledged in the tweet that it's going to be sold.
Well,
and he says he's leaving it regardless.
Then he's a fucking idiot.
Well, he may be, but at least he took a stand. So
well, taking a stand, if it's an idiotic one, is not a stand. It's just an idiotic stance. You know.
Well, why is it idiotic? I missed that.
Well, it's idiotic because Steve Levitan says I'm leaving because I don't want to be part of Fox, and Fox is being sold off. They're just trying to figure out the who right now. Those entities like Fox Studios and so on, which he uses, won't even be owned by Rupert Murdoch any longer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's just using that as an excuse.
Yeah, it could be. Who cares? Modern Family sucks anyway.
You know, Trump has a history of making money off of immigrant children because he used to bring them in for his modeling agency and have them sign unbelievable contracts where they didn't make any money, and used them basically as almost like not quite a slave. But
I don't know where that's coming.
I
don't know where that's coming from. We weren't talking about modeling.
You know, this whole thing, Trump is being an absolute bastard. I mean, he initiated this thing.
This surprises you, Ray?
No, I mean, this is the ultimate, though. People found out about it, and now he's saying, I'm just carrying out the law as the Democrats put it in, and I have no choice in the matter. It's like,
but
it's all he's doing, and he's making it sound like, oh no, I'm just following the law as I have to follow it. You can't blame me. I mean,
Miller and Stephen Miller and John Kelly, both over the last 2 years have been pushing this policy, and they said they were going to do it, and they said it was going to be their policy change. So Trump's full of crap.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it's all on tape. It's all written down. And you know who needs to quit is Nielsen.
And this Kellyanne Conway person. Oh my God! Did you see yesterday?
Did you see what Lewandowski did today?
Alex, you called her best. You called her Kellyanne Cuntface not long before I started participating in this program.
Did I call her that?
That's hilarious.
Well, you know, I mean, look, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. To begin with, you know, you're shooting the messenger.
I know.
You know, in that
she's a damn good messenger,
and she's a very good messenger. She speaks well for her side. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she can do it with a straight face and with a good conscience, but she does it well. But you know, you don't shoot the messenger. You got to shoot the person she's doing the message for. And
but people feel helpless, and we can't shoot them. Although I wish somebody would.
Look, we are so helpless that I've given up. I don't think there's anything we can do about this. The guy is going to keep lying. Everything comes out of his mouth is a lie. He's a habitual liar. He's a serial liar. He never tells the truth. And, what are we going to do about it,
Nothing. We can't do a damn thing. I called Barbara Boxer's office yesterday. I just felt like I had to do something. God, that felt like an exercise in futility.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Jeff, are you still there?
I think I'm here.
Yeah, but turn on your camera. Your camera isn't on.
Sure he's here.
I know my camera's not going.
I feel as though I might be here.
Now you're.
I hope the fuck Christ I'm here.
You don't have a camera icon there? Oh, there we go.
None of us are
there you are. There you are.
According to Elon Musk, none of us are here. We're all just video game avatars.
Really?
Anyway. Yeah.
Now they're saying that
We're all living in a simulation.
compulsive video game play is a mental disorder.
Yeah, I read that. It's true.
That explains a
I
lot.
have a son with it.
Yeah, I'm almost finished with Tomb Raider. It was about 20 hours wasted in my life. But
What were you going to do with those other 20 hours then?
I don't
Watch
know.
fake news.
It was either
Learn how to play harmonica.
And if I didn't do it the 20 hours of that, I'd be jerking off. So it's better I'm doing video games.
20 hours of jerking off? Wow. Like in a week?
A day.
A day? What are you saying? A day?
That's a big day.
Hey, I don't have a job. I have nothing else to do but jerk off. You know?
I only hope my sex drive is half as potent as yours, Alex. But
I don't think I
I
have a sex drive anymore. I think it's just purely habitual. You know. You know, and
It's
then
a ritual,
and what was
Alex. It's a
terrible
ritual.
was terrible. 3 days before I took my blood test today, I didn't do anything to stimulate myself because that could hurt the PSA test. In fact, my doctor said you can hurt a PSA test by sitting on a hard stool before taking the blood test.
You can lose your virginity just by riding a bicycle.
So I had to stay away from all pornography for 3 days. Do you know how difficult that was?
like that scene. And you ever see the movie Scary Movie with the Wayans brothers directed it back in the 99 or 98?
Yeah.
You heard the first Scary Movie?
Yeah.
Whenever the guy finally jerks off all over finally shoots his load all over his girlfriend. He's been holding it in for weeks, and he explodes like a geyser. Pins her to the ceiling. She's stuck to the ceiling, and meanwhile, camera pans back to the guy who just blew his load, and he looks like a fucking Ethiopian
Do you ever
because he had all that seed.
on what do you
There's
call
something
it?
about Mary. That was a good one.
What's the channel I'm trying to think of now? Stars.
Playboy.
Stars. They have a show called Ash versus Evil Dead, which is one of my guilty pleasures. And
I like the Evil Dead movies.
Every episode has some gory scene in it. And the gory scene in the second episode, I think, was he starts fighting evil in a sperm bank, and there's sperm flying everywhere.
Stars is the station with all the gore and the soft porn, huh?
No, they also have a lot of other stuff. They have a great show over there. It's called is Counterpoint, was it? With J.K. Simmons as the star. It's a great show. It's about we live in two worlds. There are two worlds, and they're mirror worlds to each other, and we can travel between them, and we have a diplomacy going on between them.
It's like Fringe. It's like Fringe.
Oh yeah, right, Fringe.
Yeah.
Back in the late 70s,
Two realities.
They had a show called Aerobicize. You know, they were fully dressed.
Well, no, these aren't dual realities. These are they're very knowledgeable that this other world exactly like theirs has been created, but it's not necessarily the same thing. One of these worlds, most of the people got wiped out in a plague.
Wait, don't you think we should continue with Phil's complete non sequitur?
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, something about a show called
TV
Aerobicize.
shows that were provocative, and I always liked Aerobicize, which was it was like a Busby Berkeley choreographed exercise show that was
Zumba.
Huh?
No, it's.
Like
I know what you're
Zumba.
talking about, Phil. I used to watch it in the morning.
Yeah.
Where there was porn on the computer.
Right. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Robosize.
Yeah.
And
We'd have these girls doing sexy yoga and stuff in like Jane Fonda clothes.
By the way, let's also mention that was back in the day, and there was a time, ladies and gentlemen, where women actually had pubic hair. So it was,
Yeah, it was considered cool to have a big bush.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to change our name from the Citizens to the Degenerate?
Oh, we call it the.
We don't have to change our name.
Well, Amy doesn't let us talk like this, so we got to be able to do it somewhere.
Well,
I wouldn't beat up on Amy. She's a very nice person.
I know, I love her.
Yeah.
She doesn't. But she's much more civilized.
Well,
we were civilized once.
Yeah.
Age 4, maybe.
Well, I mean, what does your T-shirt say, Phil? What is that? Hate cops?
Yeah, hate cops. The next time you need help, call a crackhead.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Phil, I'll call myself. I'll handle it myself.
That doesn't even make
better than any pig could.
That shirt doesn't even make sense.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah,
but it's
some people hate cops. If you need help, call a crackhead.
No, you call the crack dealer, not the crackhead.
Oh, well.
The dealer's got plenty of resources. Call the crack dealer's attorney.
Yeah, the crackhead's going to be
Tony
useless.
Soprano. They're better at handling justice than the pigs ever were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cop shirts.
Pigs. I haven't heard that in a long time. Pigs.
Wait,
Smell me.
Still a good. I still say that too. It's still a good term. Still.
By the way, have you heard the latest about the Roseanne show?
No.
Nope. They've got they every time they try to start this thing up, right? It looks like it's ready to go, and then somebody throws a wrench into the works. And the biggest wrench in the works is Roseanne. Right. Not by her own fault, because Roseanne has said, I'm willing to give up all rights to the show to make sure these people get employed, which was very nice of her and what she should have said, okay? But now the Screenwriters Guild is entering into the fray. And
she has to be given creative credit.
It has to be given creative credit. So, it's a constant fight. They want to keep her name off the show, but they can't. Because according to the Screenwriters Guild...
She should change her name legally, then nobody would know.
Why don't you just change the name of the show?
No, it isn't a matter of changing the name of the show. Their characters
The characters were developed by her.
Were developed by her. They were based on characters by Roseanne Barr. And so, therefore, the Writers Guild says she must get a credit. For any of these characters appearing in a show, they could change the name of the show to Darlene. They could, they could kill off a character here or there. Wait a minute. Too much noise. Brian.
It's probably me.
Yes, turn.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Okay. She can call herself Roseanne Arnold.
No, but all I'm saying is that is the biggest problem now. And a lot of people don't want to be on the show if she has her name on it. So, yes,
she should change her name, her legal name, to anonymous. Then they can display anonymous on there, and 99% of the people would never know.
Ray?
Yeah, I have a new opinion about this Roseanne. Well, not a new one, but it's solidified my opinion. I have been thinking about this and listening to various comedians, and what she said is tame compared to what a lot of comedians say on a regular basis on television, all over the place.
I can't even remember. What did she say? I forgot what she said now.
It was just, she said
something across.
Oh, yeah, right. Jared. Calling her a cross between whatever and an ape and a Planet of the Apes.
And when I looked at the woman, she actually does. I mean, it's like I was watching a couple of Lisa Lampanelli
rants.
shows.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, holy shit! What Roseanne said, I have to say, is actually kind of true. The woman does look exactly like Roseanne. It was kind of funny.
If I were the called her cunt, that was Samantha
Bee.
She didn't call her anything. Didn't call her anything.
Because it got bleeped.
It got bleeped.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. Let me finish. It got. Wait a minute. It got bleeped. Will you let me finish, Phil? She did
if you up my salary.
She did the bit. They wrote the bit, and they said, "Okay, we'll say it. We know it will get bleeped, but everybody in the studio will laugh at it." So it never. The intention on their part was never even to have that word go out over the air.
Alex, they might have even released it bleeped.
It was released bleeped, and in fact, I had a subtitled copy of it, which I showed here on the program, or a frame of it, in which you see that the subtitle has it says bleep. It says bleep in there.
That was about Ivanka Trump. It was not about Melania. This Melania one just happened a day or two ago, and it was the same kind of thing. Who was the girl that had the head of Trump with a bloody
Kathy
head?
Griffith.
Kathy Griffith. I think it was her.
No, it wasn't her. She didn't say anything. She's been very
no,
quiet.
but just recently there
She's
was
been
something
quiet.
about.
I'm not. Gonna, I think you're probably wrong, but if you can find
I'll
it,
look it up in a second. But
of course.
well, you know, Melania has come out against the housing of the children and all of these things, along with all the other living first ladies. You know, I think she's getting a bad rap.
Laura Bush.
Wait a minute, Phil. If she was serious, she would go visit these detention centers and bring cameras with her. If she had any balls, she has no balls.
No, but also
she's a woman.
No, she probably has some kind of a agreement she signed years ago with Donald, where she can't do that sort of thing.
It's called a prenup.
Yeah, but look, Tim, she came out and publicly condemned what was going on.
She's
Phil,
an
then
immigrant.
why are you?
Her parents are immigrants. She should go visit these
I
people.
think
like
if you want to see
any
the best comment of them all, the Laura Bush comment was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ray asked me a question.
Why, Phil, are you standing up for her, feeling bad about the children when you yourself do not feel bad about the children?
That's not true. I just do it to give you a razz so we can have some conversation.
Oh, wait a minute. The truth comes out now. You've really been a communist all along.
You find out.
Phil, do you agree with Corey Lewandowski and what he said today?
I didn't hear what he said.
Okay, somebody was talking about a Down syndrome child being taken away from their mother. And Corey Lewandowski was on the panel, and he said, wah, wah. That's the kind of people we're dealing with.
Maybe he was imitating the kid crying.
Yep. He was making a joke out of it.
You know, it's not a joke. But Corey Lewandowski is not part of the Trump campaign.
He's part of the big mouthpiece.
No,
and if Trump didn't have all these supporters, some of which are getting paid, Trump would be nowhere.
Hey,
I disagree on Conway. I think she's responsible, and she's making a ton of money off of this crap.
Anyway, listen.
It would be hard to find a messenger as good as her. I mean, she does what she does so well, it's scary.
Who, Kelly and Conway? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good at what she does. You know.
But her husband can undo some of it, which he's done on an op-ed here and there.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyway. Hey, listen, it's time for us to go. Phil, thank you, as usual, for your scintillating comments, all of which I heartily adhere to. And
yes.
and feel that you're right, and thank you so very much. And by the way, Brian will be visiting you very soon.
Don't drive it. Body parts, between the radioactive stuff may not be resellable.
Yes. Okay. And thanks to Scott Boddicker. Thanks to you, Jeff. I'm glad you got your equipment working. I'm glad I got my equipment working. And thanks to, of course, Brian, who has been in a car. Basically, we've been seeing black. And in another car is Ray Renati. Thank you, Ray. And also thank you to Jeff, to Tim for calling. So that's our citizens panel. It might be nice if you would all like to give a big wave goodbye. Okay. And there they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight.
Well, that was all fun and games, and we hope you enjoyed it. And I think you'll enjoy more if you stick around, because coming right up is The Intersection with Jack Bishop over most of these same Gabnet stations. 1 o'clock this morning, it's a fine show called Connections, and they're coming to us out of Florida, believe it or not. And they will be here at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. We start at 8:30 with the franchise MC in the arena. It's a sports show, followed by Damian Chaplin. He's on the Exchange at 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And then at 10 Eastern Daylight Time, I'll be back. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye, everybody.